and music. So you can fast forward that. I did that in New Mexico. I owned and operated restaurants and bars there. Went to Vegas, got the opportunity to do that with Wolfgang Puck in the Forum Shops at Caesars, and then work with the Maloof family over at the Palms Casino for a while. And that was a great learning experience for me with a great family. And then the guy that was the president there, Paul Pusateri, brought me over to help him with entertainment and the pools and the bands and the bars, Hard Rock. And so it was just a life of food, music, and drinking.
And what brought you out to Florida?
I got the opportunity to help build Baja Mar in the Bahamas. And we fell in love with the climate, fell in love with the area. We had some good friends in Boca, had some young kids that were going to school, and found that this was going to be a lovely place to raise our family.
And how have you found it so far? You found it to be like that?
It's beautiful. Love it. Love everything about it.
Yeah, man. I know you and I went for a paddle a couple weeks ago, and you were in the canoe and I took the paddleboard and we went around, and it was early morning Sunday and we got drenched in the rain. It was absolutely beautiful. We saw some birds, and you know, you definitely drink in all of Florida and what it has to offer. I know you travel with your family a lot, and you've really embraced South Florida. And I think hopefully, you know, if not, we've tried to embrace you back. You know, let's talk about your business, how it's been before COVID and then coming into what we're dealing with now.
You know, I think that the building that we came to had a blighted past. And a guy named Joe.
A lot of people call that like a dead zone. I mean, I know a few people were telling me that. But.
Yeah, the guy that built it in '74, named Joe Muir. He opened it as a seafood joint and did very well. And he actually, the very first business that was here was probably the most successful business that's ever been in the building. They lasted until the mid '80s, when both the father had passed away and then the son that was operating it died in a boat wreck. And so then it passed on and it became a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Most people remember it as the neighborhood bar and grill. It ran from mid '90s to 2010-ish as that, with a couple different owners, but a guy named Marty owned it at the end. When he passed, it changed hands and turned into several things real fast. So there's four quick in and outs, losers, you would say: Players Club, Moonshine Molly's, Max's Mexican Cantina, and then the Zone. And I came in and saw the building right as they were closing the Zone in 2017. And so I did a lot of research, kind of looked at the building and the bones of the building. It needed to be gutted. Did a lot of negotiating with the landlord, trying to get a deal the best I could. And we did, and we decided to do it in late 17, in August of 17. And we took the lease. It took us 14 months to open. And I think it took about a year for people to figure out what we were.
Yep.
You know, we're making our beer, that we're actually a brewery, that we're actually a craft kitchen with really quality food, and that our bands that would play here will never, ever, ever hurt your ears. They're always very good.
Yeah, great music that you've got there. And, you know, let's give you a chance for a shameless plug right here. What do you got coming up this week? Anything good?
Every week, I'm so fortunate to actually to have so many unbelievable musicians want to perform here, and our chefs staying creative and making great food, and the bar actually with Eric making specialty drinks all the time. We're going to do something for the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, but it's just constantly trying to be creative. We consider it an art space. Our food's art, our beer's art, our music is art, our space itself is art, and our drinks are as well. So you know, we just like to have it as evolving all the time. And this weekend tonight, Sierra's a young lady, started playing here right after we opened. She's improved dramatically, started off awesome, and has even gotten a lot better. She writes a lot of her music. Her voice is angelic, and we love having her. So she's tonight. Tomorrow night, we have another guy that we think is also very, very, very artistic and creative, Brian Smith. Brian's just really, I mean, he's from the Girlfriend Materials, his band, but even when he plays by himself, you're fully entertained. It's an engaging experience.
Yeah, he's great.
And then Friday night, one of our favorite folk bands, you know, Brewed Hootenanny, and Chris and all those guys are amazing. So we got the whole band coming in Friday night. And then Saturday night, 56 Ace. 56 Ace is a rock and roll band. They've already, I think, sold out. If they didn't sell out, they got 2 tables left for the night. You know, we're limited to 82 seats or something like that in the house. So We pre-sell those tickets, and then once it's sold out, we don't have to worry about anything. Just make sure that those 80 people have an amazing time.
And that's one of the points I want to dig in at, because that's one of the reasons they're saying, you know, that capacity in bars and everything are closed is because, oh, after 11 o'clock, you know, everybody turns into a werewolf, and, you know, everybody's just drunk and falling all over the place, and places get crowded. Nobody listens to rules anymore. But that's simply not the case. You're only allowed to have a certain amount of bodies in your space, right?
Our inside space is limited to 50%, and we maintain it at that very strictly. And you know, the late night business is really no more guilty of causing COVID than the lobby at the, you know, at the commissioner's building. You know, the reality is
yeah, that was a great point you brought up in that speech, you know, and I didn't even, I mean, I went to the bathroom and came back because I was so primed to talk, but they just dragged us out. I mean, 5 hours into it, and we're like no closer to speaking. But yeah, going through the lobby after you mentioned that, I'm like, holy crap, you're absolutely right, man. The security guard had no mask on while he's working on the computer, and everybody's just walking around. It's like, wow, you would have been, if this was a bar, they would have closed them down. If it was a restaurant, they would have closed them down.
That's what I was thinking when I was walking around there. And, you know, it was just, to me, it was hypocritical. It was them sending army forces into these bars and restaurants to harass them on a daily and weekly basis. It's just unfair. And it's how much is it costing us? You know, today.
I want to stop you right there, because for people who didn't see you give your speech, can you let everybody know what it's like? This is happening at least once a week to you, right?
Yeah, they come in and they come in with, you know, some people from the county, some people from the state, some people from the city, all together. So you got, you know, 6, sometimes 8. I've even had 10 of them at one time come in, and some of them are in, you know, armored gear with big guns, and I mean, they walk in like they're going to have a riot, you know, and they inspect your license, and then they, you know, make sure you're in compliance with the mask code. They make sure that you're in compliance with the distancing, and, you know, they go in your kitchen, they go in everywhere, take pictures of everything, and then they leave, because for me, I'm always in compliance. But the reality is, you know, that you can't set standards and codes and enforce them stricter than you're living up to in the government offices. That's just ludicrous, first of all. Second of all, paying the kind of money they're spending on the overtime and those officers coming in 10 deep to harass businesses that are barely making it in the first place is also ludicrous. You know, the government's not looking at, you know, anything other than control. It doesn't feel like, you know, and you know, the reality is we have to buck back. We got to get people in those offices that actually will help us, you know, fight for business, you know, not for, you know, whatever the other agenda is. I'm not sure.
Well, you know what, and that's a great point, because going into that meeting yesterday, I didn't know who was what. You know, they say on local politics that people aren't affiliated with a party, and, you know, you and I, we've talked politics before. You and I are independents. You know, I could care less. I'm a small business party. That's what I am. I'm all about small business. I'm all about the individual. I'm all about, you know, the least amount of taxes, the least amount of government. We can figure stuff out for the most part. And so I decided to go through this. And, you know, I shouldn't be shocked, but I guess I am kind of shocked. You know, on the board is Mac Bernard, Democrat. Melissa McKinley, Democrat. Mary Lou Berger, who was absent, she's also coming up for re-election. So I think that was a smart move on her part, Democrat. Greg Weiss, up in 22, Democrat. Hal Valeche, who was the one guy that you and I spoke to that made sense, is a Republican. Robert Weinroth is the other guy who voted, who made a little bit of sense and was actually inquiring about some of this stuff. The other guys didn't even ask questions with the CDC people. They didn't challenge anything. They just were like, that's awesome. You guys are great. Can we vote yet? Robert Weinroth was actually a Democrat, but he was endorsed by a Republican going into office, and then the mayor is a Democrat. So I hate to say it, but when things glare at you in the face like that, you kind of have to look at them, you know? And I don't think it's fair.
The mayor's up for election.
Go ahead.
The mayor's up for election in November, guys. And
yeah.
I think we need to work hard on this one. This one needs to be, we need to get, you know, up to speed with John and see if we can get behind him on 100%. And if we can, I think that we get on that and we help this man have a fight and get in there and overtake that position. It's commissioned Area 3.
Well, I just find it interesting that they voted along party lines, and the way the party lines went, you know, small businesses just getting caught in the middle of this terrible, terrible political environment right now, because we've hit every benchmark, right? I mean, they basically admitted it. They, you know, we flattened the curve. We brought the cases down. We are at 5-point-something% positivity rate versus tests, which I don't even understand how that's a metric, because how do you control who's getting tested? You know, most likely the only person people getting tested right now are people that are feeling symptoms. So there's probably a disposition to it being a positive. And even then, we're still kind of in those metrics, but they didn't ask any questions about that except for how. They didn't ask, they really just kind of said, let's just get to the vote. We've hit every benchmark that they've pretty much created, and they've moved the goal line on us a few times.
Aside from those 3 or 4 loud people that go and raise hell all the time there was 50 people there to speak and another 20 people there on behalf to not speak, but put in their is on in writing. So there were 70, constituents that went there. And really, when they announced that there was 2.5 hours of people to speak, it was like they were being punished.
Right.
Their job to listen to their clients and their constituents. To me, it was just that kind of that sad feeling when you know that your bureaucracy is just completely, there's no more communicating. It's just, they decided before we got there, they wrote down what they wanted. They followed that exactly to the letter to what they sent the governor. They didn't change one thing on our behalf. They didn't give us an extra hour of business. They didn't give us anything. And so they did not listen to a word any of us asked them for to help us and build our businesses back and get through this time without unnecessary and undue scrutiny. This disease isn't what they said it was. The hospitals are all empty, John. Nationwide, the hospitals are empty. There's very few people in there, and we're no longer putting a pressure on that. That's what they sold us in March. Our hospitals are going to be full. We can't do this. We got to save the hospitals. Hospitals are saved now. Open the country.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean, I don't think, nobody's ever said, just take off the masks and let's have a big party. I mean, you have to control your environment. And if you don't control your environment, then you should be fined or you should be cited. That's fine. But, you make I think you said 67% of your revenue basically happens from the 9 o'clock hour to that 2 o'clock hour, right? And one of the comments the mayor made that you called him on, I think that's when he me observing from the audience, I think that's when he kind of said, all right, I'm checking out here. And he said it, you saw it. He said, nothing good happens after midnight. Well, as a 30 and 40-year-old guy, I can tell you all the best stuff happened after midnight. And I don't mean getting drunk and acting like an idiot. I mean the best conversation, the best meals, the best wine, just the best of life happens after midnight. And that's what you do at your bar, at your restaurant.
This is how I've lived my life, my entire life. And I eat dinner at midnight more than I eat it at 8 o'clock at night. That's for sure. And most of my friends were the same way, and them talking like some religious, moralistic bullcrap control on our lives because 11 o'clock is the witching hour when we can no longer handle ourselves as the mere public. We have to help control them as the government and save them from themselves. That's what they're doing. It's absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, they get selectively Puritan. You know what I mean? It's crazy. The one gentleman there, the South African gentleman, like as you said, has come into your restaurant. He runs the CDC, or he runs the what do they call this bureaucracy they created?
They're calling it the Education and Compliance Task Force. That's a very, very funny name because I haven't seen them educate anybody anything.
Yeah, the Ministry of Education. Yeah. Oh, wow.
He stood in the back of the room without his mask on, in the room that we were all wearing masks.
I know, and someone called him on it to put it on. He defiantly didn't want to put it on just to show everybody. But
and that's the guy that's enforcing it on us.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But I don't want to get too far into the weeds because I thought that what the Education Board actually posted was proving our point. I was feeling very confident, that we were going to be able to push for a full phase 2. And that's what we're asking for, is basically a full phase 2. Some of the stuff I've seen online and some of my friends have posted on some of my other stuff is that they said, well, just because they're saying these things, the governor can overrule them in going to a full phase 2. But that's not really the logistics. I mean, if I'm the governor and I'm looking at all these counties, I'm going to look at what you're recommending. And if anything, I'm going to ramp it down. You know what I mean? I'm going to say, hey, no, I don't think you guys should do that. I would think that your commission, your county commissioners would want to be quote unquote aggressive, you know, and try to help out the small businesses. But, you know, they didn't ask any questions like how much money have you lost? You know, how much financial, and some of the people that spoke, the one gentleman really hit me. He was just pleading, please, can I open my business? You guys are killing my livelihood and killing my family. But, you know, we've hit every benchmark. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's interesting too that, you know, the same commission on this same 5D yesterday, they made a recommendation to the governor or recommendation to the school board to not open the schools here until 3 to 4 weeks after they go into full phase 2, right? And so everything that they recommended was just, you know, the most stringent anywhere in the world, anywhere in our state for sure. I mean, Broward's further than us now. I mean, Miami County's opening further than us now. And these guys are keeping us clamped down, and they're not doing it for any safety reasons. This is all politics, man. And it hurts because we're sitting here getting crushed because these guys have to follow their parties.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about your business. How much, I mean, without giving numbers, giving percentages, maybe employment, you know, how was it going in and how is it now?
You know, it's a battle. I'm not gonna talk about details because it's just not something I can do. But it's certainly the hardest thing. First of all, these restaurants barely make it at 100%, and so you cut it in half, and then you cut their prime hours in half. You know, it's a struggle. I'm positioned to fight through this, and I'm hoping that at the end of the day, I walk out the backside of this and we still have our business. I feel confident that we are positioned to do that. I don't know what the future holds. So if what has been, it continues for a while, I'll be fine. I don't know where a lot of my colleagues are. A lot of my colleagues are in some shape better than me, and some of them are in worse shape than me. And I'm afraid there's a lot of them in worse shape. And I think we're going to see a real clearing of the local, you know, small restaurant bar owner. You know, the bar has been closed for 6, 7, 8 months. I don't even know which ones are going to come out of the hole, you know, and the ones that do will do very well. The ones that don't are going to be, you know, that's just the barrier. That's just what happened.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have a theory on that. And basically the bars that are okay, I think, are bars like the Sail Inn, maybe not the bartenders, but the guy who owns the Sail Inn also owns the dirt. You know what I mean? So he's basically just paying the taxes. He's not paying rent. If you're a bar owner and you're not paying rent, I think you're going to be in a better position coming out of this. It's the ones that have to pay rent right now, and they're not able to come up with the rent money. And I just saw today that the mayor extended the eviction mandate another month, I guess. He did it like right at the final hour. But he also said it doesn't mean you don't pay your rent. It also, you know, and that's one of the other things. Right. A lot of these landlords, what they're doing is like, great, okay, October, you're going to pay rent and a half. November, you pay rent and a half. December, you pay rent and a half. Those numbers aren't going to be exactly easy to reach either. You know, it's not like you're getting a forgiveness. You're just getting it, you know, you're getting it moved back down on the road. So yeah, I think those
recipe for disaster.
It really is, you know, and I don't think people really understand it because the PPP loan kind of extended, you know, kind of gave everybody a stay of execution, and then, you know, the forbearance on the rents kind of gave a little bit, but so we're really not living in reality. But I read an article with Eater the other day, and I posted it. Chipotle and Domino's actually have hired teams to go out there, and so they'll find an area that they want to be in, and they'll just basically go pick off every restaurant that they see. They'll go in there and say, hey, how you guys doing? Are you making it? You're not? Hey, let's talk. Let's take a look at your lease, and we'll get you guys out of your lease. And they've got a team that's doing that. And there's another group of restaurants like Ann Pizza and a couple of others. They've actually started almost like a REIT. It's like a real estate investment trust. And they're going around with blank checks and taking over restaurants wherever they see fit. And that's just
opportunity happens in every disaster. And, you know, if you can walk out the backside of this with the money, if you got money, you're going to have opportunity. That's the reality. Some big companies like that are already teed up and ready to take advantage of the fallout. And, you know, they might take some of the prime spaces, and there's going to be a lot of, you know, secondary spaces that still come available for the people that aren't in those national categories.
Yeah, but isn't it frustrating? I mean, you know, and I've been part of restaurants that didn't make it. I've been part of nightclubs that didn't make it, bars that didn't make it. I did the build out, everything we thought we were going to do great, and it didn't happen. But you know what? It's on you. You know what I mean? It's on you. It's like, all right, well, what didn't I do right? You know, did I not play the right music? Did I not hire the right bartenders? Was I not creating the right vibe? Did I go into the wrong piece of real estate? What's got to be frustrating right now is I mean, your numbers were going this way. I mean, you had just come into your second year. People knew who you were on the map. You've got one of the best, most comfortable vibes inside I've ever seen. You know, it's cool. The sound is absolutely amazing in there. Your numbers are coming up. Be one thing to say, you know, you screwed up. You know what I mean? You're not executing on the food. You're not executing service-wise, but you are. You know what I mean? It's happening not from your own doing. So it's got to be frustrating.
Frustrating, but also really, you know, if I can get through the backside of it, I've got something forward to. And, you know, it's just, I don't want to feel in any way that I'm in a worse shape than any of my colleagues down the street. I think
Right.
that we're all in this beat, you know, this what's going on together. The world's been turned upside down, not just the United States, not just Florida, not just Boca and Delray. The world has been turned upside down. And as I said also in that speech, is like, we didn't know what to do with it in March, right? Everybody, it was scary. It was, you know, it was worrisome. If there was going to be 3 or 4% of our population was going to be deceased at the end of the year, that was a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah,
So,
they were talking millions out of the gate.
right. You know, they were talking 3 or 4% of the people that were going to get it were going to die right at first, because they didn't know what the mortality rate was. Now it's, you know, down under 1%, you know, around 0.5%. And so I think that, you know, I think that we're safe to say that it's not what it was. Yes, it's still there. We should protect ourselves when we're out, but we should be able to choose as adults to go out, whether it's at 8 o'clock at night or midnight, whatever time we want to, and go have a drink or have a sandwich, right? This is, you know, what they're doing. If you want to go to a bar and have a drink or a restaurant and have a drink, what's the difference? And why aren't the bars open? You know, that's arbitrary. It has no facts base behind it. I mean, you can't tell me that there's any data saying that the bars caused the spike in COVID when they haven't been open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it really doesn't make sense. It's really unfathomable what's going on right now. And, you know, we were told 12 weeks, I think, out of the gates, and now 12 weeks has turned into, you know, with 48 weeks now. It's not 48.
The county commission and the mayor's offices around the country never had the power they've had right now. They're doing all this under a state of emergency, right? So their powers have been increased, and they're like taking these powers like to their head and freaking out and trying to control the masses with their new and found powers, instead of saying, hey, look, power is using it when it's supposed to be and not when it's supposed to be. And they just don't get it, because this is, you know, once for them right now, for them to be able to control things. And, you know, as soon as we're not in a state of emergency, they don't get to make these decisions. They can't just close businesses down arbitrarily. It has to go through a court process.
Right. You know, and we are in an election year, and it's a pretty divisive election that's going on right now. And it's you know, what's been happening as far as with the government and their newfound power. You know, you got re-elections coming up. I've always thought the only way these guys can be wrong, the only way these guys can get themselves in trouble, it's regardless of whatever party, is if they open up too soon, right? If they open up too soon and all of a sudden there's a spike, then the other side, whoever that may be, is going to go, you're getting people killed. You know, you're putting people's lives on the line here. You know, you opened up too soon. What do you think about that?
I think they have the same amount of risk of not opening up soon enough, and everybody is, and our economy is in a way that we become dependent on government, and there's no jobs, and now we're forced into socialism, and that's way more scary to me. And I think they can do that as well. And I think that that was the leaning side that was happening yesterday. It was they would rather lean on the side of what you're saying is, keep it closed and, and supposedly save people, but yet nobody's wearing masks around the corner from this really silly, meeting we were in yesterday. It's just all smoke and mirrors, man. I can't any longer buy into, having any closures at all. I do say that, having percentages of people in certain places makes sense, and not packing people into concert halls and stuff like that until, more people have gotten it and gone through it. And so we don't fill up hospitals maybe, but man, it's got to be back open. There's got to be a way for everybody to run their business in an operatable, in a way that is safe and fun and back to the world, right? You can't just continue this because, a 90-year-old person might die. Well, those 90-year-old people, because most of the people were over 90 that died from this, that actually died from COVID. And, it's like, man, everybody has I don't know. To me, I just feel it's this unnecessary lockdown at this point.
Yeah. So
I'm rambling.
What do you have any thoughts on what you would like to see or what you think would work out there? If everybody was social distancing and using masks for the time being, I guess what would you like to see?
I think right now that they should open up all businesses at 50%, movie theaters, bars, bowling alleys, everybody should get to have the opportunity to do what the government offices are doing. It should be across the board the same, right? It's fair. So just be fair and open up everybody at 50% and set the guidelines, make sure there's some compliance inside of reason, and let's continue to have this country work.
I hear you, man. Anything that we didn't touch on that you maybe want to address or let people know about before we go ahead and sign off here? I think it was a good conversation. Some people may not like some of the directions that it went because of, the election or what's going on right now. But like I said, I'm all about small business, and I've got a unique perspective. And then I go out and I see 5 or 6 at least every week when we do the Facebook Lives, and I talk to folks, and I talk to you. Lord knows you and I have had a lot of heart-to-hearts, and I know your wife posted the other day, you lost a daughter recently to cancer. You opened up a restaurant at the same time. You've just been fighting and clawing and scratching. And when COVID hit, my friend, you didn't sit there and feel sorry for yourself. You jumped on social media. You created a YouTube channel. You've just been go, go, go. You've inspired me so much. And I know you've inspired so many other restaurateurs so much. So I just want to thank you because, you really have, man. I don't know if you know it, but you're an inspiration to me, my friend. You really are. And I know
it's been a crazy year for sure, bro. Crazy year.
It really has. And, I know I see the small business people, they just want to open. They just want to serve. They just want to make people happy. They just want to do the business that they want, that they signed on for to do. If you tell people they got to wear a mask, they'll make them wear a mask. If it's 12 at night, and you know what, they'll make the people sit down. If they don't, you can cite them. But you got to they're treating us like kids. You got to give people the opportunity.
These business people, these entrepreneurs that they're shutting down, they don't want government handouts. They don't want freebies. They want to open their business. They've been working hard. An entrepreneur definition is somebody that will work twice as hard for themselves so they don't have to work for somebody else, right? That's the reality. It's not an easy job, these guys. These restaurants, these bars, these little things are not easy to survive on. But they grind them out because of love, because they love people, they're humans, they love that interaction, right? And right now, they're on the fence of being on government support. And that's not what they want. No. They want to run their business. Government, you government officials that are getting paid by us, open the businesses so these people can survive and not be on the nipple of the government.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You know, it takes a special person to get into the restaurant business. You have to have a real love of people. You have to have a real love of watching people have fun. You know, I know that when I was in the nightclub business, I would just sit up in the DJ booth and we was pumping at 2 a.m. and you just had a sea of people and everything's having a good time. Your security guards are on point. Everything's happening. There's no better feeling than like, you know, you set this environment up. You've created this environment, and that's what you've done with Crazy Uncle Mike's. You've got great bands in there, great sound system, great seating. If you haven't been there yet, plus you guys do an amazing Sunday brunch right now, right? Are you doing that again?
Oh yeah, it's continued. And that's also limited to 80 people, but we do the outside. You can still hear it and play outside on the patio too. Starts at noon, goes to 4:20 every Sunday. Ladies drink free champagne and or mimosas during the day with the brunch. It's a lot of fun. It's always musical based. This week we're doing back to the 80s again. So that seems to be our most popular 80s. Everybody loves that around here.
You get guys like me in there.
Know every word to every song, right?
Yes. I'm an 80s baby, man. I love and you guys play good 80s too. It's not that bubblegummy stuff. You guys get into it. You guys play some, I think I even heard like Elvis Costello, Depeche Mode, some of your favorites, Talking Heads, all that good stuff, DOA, and I could go on and on. But man, I really appreciate you taking the time out to kind of, you know, give us a glimpse of what's going on, and anything else you want to say real quick to everybody?
Just thanks for always supporting the small guys. Go to all the places. Everybody that's your friend in the business, go support them. They could use it. Don't I don't think I have anything but respect for you, Johnny, and I appreciate all the support you always give the restaurants. And I think everybody should be thinking that way when they can't afford it. Sometimes you can't.
That's it, man. If if you're in a good position and you feel healthy and you're not at risk, and you guys take care of your COVID. I mean, you guys do all your protocols. Can you tell us all the protocols that you're taking right now, and then we'll get out, because I know it's something I really need to start stressing with the restaurants again, what they're doing to make sure that environment is safe.
Well, we're a brewery, so we use a lot of heavy chemical in the brewery for cleaning all of our equipment and everything, and it's all sanitary safe. It's all food grade, and we make our own isopropyl sprays for all the tables. We spray in between every person that comes in, sits down. One-touch menus. As soon as somebody uses it, they can take it with them because it's usually a useful flyer or it's trash. Throw it away, and that way we're not having menus go back and forth. It is a QR code on the menu, so they just take a picture of it. Menus on their phone, but they can take the flyers with them if they want. We're socially distanced, obviously, 6-foot tables apart. We're limited 50% capacity inside. We've expanded out into the front driveway, really made a cool little patio out there. It tends to fill up on weekend nights only right now, but I think that's due to the temperature until it gets 8 o'clock at night. It's still pretty hot out there. But I think as the year goes, that front patio will probably become very, very utilizable. And maybe help us, with these limited seating on the inside. Everybody's wearing masks, obviously, at work. We're doing everything that they've asked us to do and more. I think that that's why they've come and visited us so many times, and we've always passed their inspection. So, we're doing everything we can. And most people that come here have said, in fact, every person that's talked to me that's come here has said that they feel very safe, you included.
No, absolutely. You've got a big space. You got tall ceilings. You got plenty of room. You've spaced. Absolutely one of the most comfortable restaurants I've actually been in. You know it because you see me all the time. You're going to see me soon, man. You got that double IPA you got going is kicking, man. So I appreciate you getting on here and kind of, bearing your soul a little bit. Go ahead.
I will say one thing I got going on this month. Okay, so this month is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
In September. And I did a beer that's called Spice for Life. And we're going to donate $1 on everyone to a childhood cancer program. That'll go straight to the family. So come in and have a Spice for Life. Make a donation. Support the childhood cancer.
Take care, my friend.